A sudden deafening crash jolted the sleeping man awake, and the seawater that burst in quickly flooded the cabin. He scrambled to his feet, trying to locate the source of the leak, only to discover that the bottom of the cabin was completely intact. Instead, a huge hole had been torn open in the cabin wall, and seawater was continuously pouring inside. Jack hurriedly climbed out of the cabin to check what had happened and discovered that a shipping container had crashed into the yacht. Seeing this, Jack quickly pulled in the sails, trying to slow the yacht down while also reducing the rocking of the hull to prevent more seawater from rushing in. After securing the sails, Jack urgently pulled an iron rod out of the emergency kit. He then rushed to the side of the boat and wedged the iron rod between the yacht and the container, trying to pry the container away with all his strength. Despite using every ounce of his power, the iron rod bent and deformed under the pressure, while the container did not budge at all. At this moment, seawater continued to pour into the cabin without stopping. Staring at the massive container, Jack found himself completely at a loss. Just then, he suddenly noticed a small hole on the side of the container and immediately came up with a plan. Jack quickly went into the storage room and hauled out a heavy sandbag. He then climbed onto the container and threaded the rope of the sandbag through the small hole, tying it firmly to the container. Without hesitation, he threw the sandbag into the sea. Soon, under the force of gravity, the container was fixed in place and finally separated from the yacht. However, the danger was far from over. Jack rushed back to the cockpit, sharply cranked the steering wheel, and forcefully turned the bow around. He then raised the sails once again, using the incoming sea wind to change the yacht's direction and lift the impact hole above the waterline, stopping water from flooding into the boat. Jack took out a box of homemade adhesive, mixed it thoroughly, and applied it to the hole. He then covered it with gauze, successfully patching the large breach, while the water inside the cabin was slowly drained out. Before Jack could finish cleaning the cabin, he noticed that rainwater was leaking through the deck, which should have been completely watertight. Sensing that something was seriously wrong, he rushed up to check, but the sight before his eyes left him completely stunned. The sea had turned dark and oppressive, and a violent storm was about to strike.